Me opening the med spa was just giving me that leap of faith that you can do it. Because even when God told me to close my med spa, I was like, huh? Really? Like, Lord, this is my baby. You know what I mean? But he's like, I got so much more for you.
I know your story has inspired us and so many out there that they can do it. So I just thank you for empowering women, nurses, and just showing people that if you can do it, then they have no excuses.
It was a news report on you. And I remember looking at it and I was like, girl, like this is powerful. And you were like, you think so? I'm like, yes. Welcome to the Nurse Boss Ship. It's your girl, Dr. Kiana Jones.
And I'm Christal P, the Beauty and P.
And today we are live on set in the ATL. Y'all, it was crazy getting here. We'll talk about that another day. But we are here, and we have with us today the Dr. Ebonee Gresham. Now, you're from ATL, right?
I am
not originally. Where are you from?
So I was born and raised in Buffalo, New York.
Okay.
Atlanta pays me.
Oh, period.
Yes.
Okay, so she resides
Right.
in Atlanta,
Yes.
and she is here with us today to bless us. You guys know how we are big on showing up for our aspiring and current nurse entrepreneurs. Dr. Gresham is going to spill some tea, tell us about her journey, and we'll also kind of share how we all connected. Again, not knowing each other before COVID, and now are like sisters.
Yes.
Because we really, truly are in a position where we want to empower and encourage you guys. And so without further ado, Dr. Gresham, please introduce yourself.
Yes. Thank you so much. And first and foremost, thank you guys so much for coming into the city. I won't call it my city. and giving me the honor and the privilege of being here with you guys. I am Dr. Ebonee. Before the doctor, I was Ebonee Rice. I am now Dr. Ebonee Gresham. I'm a mom of 10. I'm a wife. I'm a doctor of 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Right. And I'm a nurse. I'm a nurse entrepreneur. I'm just a serial entrepreneur, an author, and also an empowerment speaker. So, yeah.
Yeah. So, Dr. Gresham, let's talk about your entrepreneurial journey. But let's talk about before you even became an entrepreneur. Did you always have a desire? Was there something that you used to do that led you I know I need to be in a space where I have the control of my time, my finances? What's the background?
I would say me not liking to have other people telling me what to do, so to speak. Okay. Yeah, that's not my thing. I'm not strong with that, especially when you feel like those people that are, your managers, your supervisors are not as well equipped, maybe competent as you are, but they are your superiors. Mm-hmm. And also, I have been fired, terminated maybe 2 or 3 times. And to me, it was not a valid termination, but it happened. And so at that point, I was just like, no more. At what point do you say, I would not allow anyone to terminate me ever again?
Yeah.
I'm my own boss.
Yeah. And let me just say, I am kind of girl fanny. I've been knowing you before you were an entrepreneur. First of all, you guys, Ebonee and I'll let you tell the story, but really quickly, the evolution of Dr. Gresham is absolutely amazing. And I'm just sitting here, just even listening to you and just remembering our deep conversations that we would have, our intimate conversations when we met up in LA. And you have just evolved and transformed. And I want to celebrate you for that. But I also want to talk and ask you, what was that process like?
Oh, wow. So you mean like going back to like when we first
Yeah,
met?
and you can share that from your perspective, and
Okay,
I
sure.
can add a little bit too.
Sure. So the way I see it is, so I was already following you, on social media, and as we know, we follow a lot of people, but I did not know you were in LA. I don't know how I missed that. And so during COVID, when I was working, at the Megapod, and I think I reached out to you because I was making the money, and I'm like, what am I going to do with all this money? And I'm like, well, I need to open a business. And so I remembered you. I went to your page, and I think I sent you a DM at like 2, 3, 4 in the morning. You responded, and then we connected, and you told me, you're like, yeah, I'm in LA. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is divine intervention. For one, for you to respond. Most people don't respond to their DMs. And for 2, for you to say, yes, I'm here. What do you need? I'm here. It just brings me joy, because some people, they do it for the fame and the fortune, and you did it as as a true sister. Like, what do you need? I'm here. What's up? And so from there, just reaching out to you and connecting and, learning how to open a med spa, and that took me so many different places, even today, just in entrepreneurship, period. Being a nurse, you're an entrepreneur. I didn't connect the dots, from what we already learned in nursing. You're a boss, you know what I mean? And then, like I said, going into the med spa space, and it was just phenomenal to open a business and understand what that meant. You know what I'm saying? From the logo to the trademarking to, having a medical supervisor over my med spa. I didn't know those opportunities were there, and you helped to enlighten me to grow into that space. And now I just feel like I'm unstoppable.
Period, because you are.
Yes. Yes.
I was going to say, did you have aspirations to do med spa?
Yes and no.
Okay.
I think the entrepreneurial journey was there, like, me aspiring to be an entrepreneur. Med spa just came when I saw others doing it. And I'm like, I can do that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
How you see someone, you're
The
like,
softer side of nursing.
Yes. I was like, ooh, I can do that. You know what I mean? And still be able to make enough income to sustain my family and my lifestyle. So that's what kind of, transitioned me into doing the med spa.
Crystal, how did you meet Ebonee? How did
We
you
met through you, but I remember we first met when we went to the event in Atlanta. Right?
Yes.
But we
right.
we had already met online, and we're calling each other cousins.
Yes.
My family's last name is Gresham too, so we had called each other cousins and just talked online, and then we met finally. Was that last year or 2 years?
No,
that was a while ago.
2 years ago. Yeah, it was
2 years ago in Atlanta, and same. It was just like sisterhood. Sisterhood.
So can we talk about the power, though, of showing up and stepping outside of your comfort zone? I feel like how each of us met, like just thinking about Crystal and I now have a whole podcast and how we met.
And same DM'd her, and she responded.
Right. And then the way you and I met, and then the way we all met together, it really was not like, oh, we grew up together, we knew each other, we worked together, we nothing. But we did have something in common, and that was that we wanted more. And we just needed somebody to help us and show us how to achieve that. So what would you say, how has that been instrumental on your journey, whether that's from coaching, whether that's from, having mentors, paid or not? What has that done for you in your journey?
Like you said, in the coaching space, I think it helped me to not only to get the information, but not to be a gatekeeper, and to also share the information with others, to realize that when people DM me, respond, of course, using discernment, I always say, right? Because you can't respond to everybody when there's hundreds of people reaching out to you, but God will direct you to the right people, and connect you to the right people. And I've met some amazing people, and I always go back to you. And I'm like, this is where it started for me, especially having that kindred spirit that you have. It's like meeting a sister that you've known for so long, you know what I mean? Like, and you don't get that always, so you cherish it. It starts off business, but then when it goes into that personal space and you can always reach out to that person, they're always your mentor, they're always your coach. It doesn't matter, you know what I mean? Even though my med spa is now closed, you're still my mentor. You understand what I'm saying? And I'm proud to say that, but there's so many other women that are proud to say Dr. Ebonee is my mentor.
You graduated with your DNP probably a month after we met, and I attended her virtual DNP.
Wait, you helped me with this. I had to do my research paper, and you helped me with my project. You know what? I just was like, and now she's helping me with my project. You know what I mean? And she's like, no, change this, do that. And I'm like, yes, that's what I'm talking about. And it went beyond just a med spa. You know what I mean? It's like whatever avenues and facets I can help you, I am here. And so when I saw you on there, I was just like, go ahead, God. Like, you know what I mean?
What's crazy about it, though, and this is what I try to relay this message in our podcast, and that is you have to take the first step, and then God reveals what that next step is going to be. And it is most likely where you're going to end up is not related to where you started. And that's okay. But a lot of people, the reason why they're not able to get to wherever it is that they're trying to go in life is because they struggle with not having a clear path, and they don't trust. And I say trust in God to know that it's already divinely set for you and you don't know it yet, right? So they don't have enough trust, which means that they hold back because they continue to say, okay, I need to know A through Z what this journey is going to be before I take A, when really you don't even have the ability to know what's going to happen. And I say that because now now you are like doing the thing. And I want to talk about that because we haven't even got to like, what do you do? Like, okay, bam, you launched the Med Spa, and then you've kind of veered into something even like morphed into something beyond that. And tell me, what is it that you do first of all? Let's let people know because we ain't talked about that yet. And then we'll talk about like the process and how you got from like, okay, I'm launching this Med Spa to get to be on news channels and all the things that you're doing. So tell about that.
So being an empowerment speaker was me just stepping outside of my comfort zone and being honest and open and transparent to my audience. And my audience is actually myself, 10, 15 years ago. So I look in the mirror and I see these women and I see myself. And at some point, God said to me, you have to tell them your story. You have to share with them all that you've gone through and who I am, the power of trusting me as your father. And it just took its own course, pretty much from there. And like I said, me opening the Med Spa was just giving me that leap of faith that you can do it.
Yes.
But like you said, it started evolving, and I was okay with pivoting because even when God told me to close my Med Spa, I was like, huh? Really? Like, Lord, this is my baby. You know what I mean? But he's like, I got so much more for you.
Yeah.
And like you said, in our minds, we're like, oh, I want to do this. But God is over here like totally doing something so much bigger than what you can even imagine. And so now being an empowerment speaker and being on stages, actually speaking, actually when I leave here today, I'll be going to speak, somewhere else again with other doctors and physicians and medical professionals. And I'm just like, go God, you know what I mean? Like use me. Because when we say God, use me, what does that really mean? In every avenue, anything that he wants to do, sometimes we run from it, right? Our calling and our purpose. But I'm just like, God, I'm here. Like, I'm all here for it. So doing that and also coaching women into their purpose, so I call myself an empowerment speaker because I coach women into their purpose. Their purpose is already given to them. God has already ordained who they are. They sometimes just need a Dr. Kiana or a Dr. Ebonee or a Christal to come in and say, hey, you got it.
Do it.
I'm just going to help push you and propel you into what God has already called you to be. So that is what I do.
And I was going to say, as mentors ourselves, we gravitate towards those who we can see who are taking those steps and who are trying to do, get there even without the clear path. So do you find when you're coaching these women, it's a struggle to get them to believe in themselves?
Sometimes.
Okay.
Sometimes. And sometimes more often than others. I will say I don't coach anyone who's not coachable.
Okay.
So they have to have an open heart. They have to have an open mind. They have to realize that they, need a coach. Why? And that's one of my questions I ask, why do you want a coach? Why do you desire a coach? What is it that you expect of me?
Right.
Because I can't make you something that you're not. I'm going to hold you accountable, but I'm not going to run after you and be responsible for you. You know, there has to be that drive that's there. So for example, when you coached me, the drive was already there. I needed the systems. I needed the information. I needed the roadmap, of how to get there. After that, I'm like, I got it. I'm gone. What I mean? And so those are the women that I would say that I coach. The women who are ready, they're hungry. They just need a little bit more information, a little bit more knowledge, and a little push.
And I know hearing your story, which we haven't even gotten to your story. That'll be part 2. But even hearing your story is like, how can they not see you, the example that you are and that you have set, and to know that they can do it because you did it. Your story is so powerful.
Thank you.
Gosh.
All right. So tell me the title again. Empowerment speaker.
Empowerment speaker.
Empowerment speaker and empowerment coach.
Yes.
Okay. And so tell me what that entails.
That entails taking everything that you are and everything that you encompass, everything that God has ordained, designed for you to be and to do, and helping you to push to do just that. Because sometimes we have it, just like myself. I mean, prime example. I had it inside of me, but I needed a Dr. Kiana to say, you got it, and make that light bulb just go off, And from there, you just sprout and you're gone, and it's like looking at your child, and you raise this child, and when you see them take off, you're like, that's my baby. You know what I mean?
That's how I feel.
I know. That's why I said it. So that's what it feels like, So how you feel about me, I feel about these other women, and I look and I'm like, go girl. There's no jealousy, there's no envy, there's no competition.
That's a big part.
It's like, go. And if they never even say my name, it's okay, because I know that I had a part to play, in their success. And so I love that.
So what about the people who are going to listen to this podcast and they're going to say, of course you could do it. You have your DMP, like you have all this education, you've been able to do it, but that's not my story. What do you say to those people?
Everybody's story is different. Everybody's journey and path is different. I didn't know myself, in the beginning, this was a path that I was going to take. Like you said, you have to continue to put one foot in front of the other and just go, and God will order your steps, and you just have to stay motivated. You have to stay encouraged. You have to know, what is your why? Why are you doing what you're doing? You're not going to look like me. I'm not going to look like you. But who are you? What is your purpose of being here? And I think it looks like something until people hear the story behind it. You know what I'm saying? Like, they see the outside, they see the glitz, they see the glam, but they don't know the story behind it. So once you learn the story, that's where the encouragement comes in. That's where the motivation comes in. And that's where I hope that they say, well, if she can do it, I can too.
For those who are listening, and because I think sometimes with like consulting and speaking, people who aren't in this space are like, well, how do I start that? So what would you tell someone who has a story and wants to motivate other women? How would they get started in doing something like being an empowerment coach or speaker?
They just have to start. So a lot of times people just sit on social media and they're just scrolling and they're just idolizing, and they're like, oh, I like her, and they're following all these people, right? And they're idolizing people, but they're not putting the work in. They're not doing the work. So even if it comes down to you being in your car and you just creating videos, just giving inspiration and empowerment, 3 tips of how to be successful, 4 tips of, how to get over depression, whatever, your niche is, you have to start somewhere. Even if it's going on Eventbrite and just going into rooms for free, right? Networking is really important. Going into people's DMs, right? And just saying, hey, how are you? I teach that to my ladies, hop in people's DMs. Everybody's not going to reply. That's okay. Follow people, engage with them on social media. Get out of your comfort zone. Get out of your house. Get from behind that computer or that phone and get out and meet people. Network. Tell them who you are, what you're about, what you do, and also just be available for people. How can I be a service to you?
Right.
So it's not always what people can do for you, but what can you do for them?
That's right.
And then they'll begin to see your light and be like, oh, she's really a good person, like how you did. You start offering to help me with not only the med spa, but you've helped me in personal areas, you've helped me with the children, you've helped me with my marriage, you've helped me with school. And so when people see that, they want to attract to you, they want to stay connected to you. And before you know it, you're building, your network and your support system.
Before we get into your story, though, what I'm thinking, especially right now after 2020, everybody was a coach, everybody was a mentor.
Yes.
And I really, truly feel like it is a calling to be in this position, because you have to be the socket for a lot of people. And sometimes I even get like 6 months I was off social because I was low and I had to recharge, right? But it's because I genuinely give so much, and I am so connected to the people who I work with and who I mentor. What do you say about those people who are in it for a financial gain and not really looking to have impact on the lives of people? Like, I should say, my question is, how do people discern between those who are just in it for the money versus those mentors who really truly care? What does that look like? Have you ever even worked with someone who, or people who,
No names.
names.
That is a great question. And as you were asking, I can say the Spirit spoke to me clear as day, because I'm fasting right now.
Oh, you are?
Yes.
Okay.
Re-fasting. Yeah. So we talked about yesterday. We're starting over today. So yesterday I was like, you're in cupcakes and everything. But so the answer to that is they always talk about money. When they're about money, they always talk about money. So I am purposeful in not always just saying, I can show you how to make $10,000 in 1 week. That is not my drive. You know what I'm saying? That's not my thing, because I can show you that, right? But what is that? What's the substance behind that? There are people that have a lot of money, and I always say they're depressed, they off themselves. Unfortunately, people take their lives, and they seem to have it all. But they don't have substance. They don't have the foundation, together. We can learn how to make money, but do you have the structure that is needed to keep it, right? And then the longevity. So most people that are coaches or gurus or whatever, there's no longevity in it. It's they're here today, gone tomorrow. Because again, the foundation, wasn't built. And I think when people really get to know people, even when they step out of social media and how many followers people have and the blue check and this and that, and they get to meet that person, that discernment comes right there. Are they the same person on and off? Do you really get to your mentor or your coach? Some people, you don't even have access to them. You know what I'm saying? And so for me, that was the discernment in picking my coach. privilege.
Yeah.
Right. And I do the same for the ladies. Like when they choose me, they pay me. You know, of course you have to pay to play. And what I've learned from you is it's not a payment, it's an investment. Investing in yourself, but it goes beyond the business. When you need me, I am there.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So let's talk about your story then. Let's talk about how we got here. Not us, but like your personal journey. I remember when you reached out to me, I think either in the second or third conversation, part of our conversation, you sent me, it was a news report on you, and it was talking about you as a travel nurse, and then you were sharing your, you know, your family background. And I remember looking at it and I was like, girl, like this is powerful. And you were like, you think so? I'm like, yes. But what was that journey that make me feel like, oh my God, girl, you got it. Like, are you sharing this? Are you putting this out there? And at the time you weren't, and we'll get to that next part. But tell everyone, like, what is your background? What was your journey? What were your obstacles that you encountered that got you kind of to be resilient and get to this point?
Being raised by a single mom, and I'll try to fast forward and go, you know, summarize it as much as I can. But being raised with a single mom and not having my father in my life, I ended up having my daughter at 16 years old, you know, and I always say it was just looking for love in all the wrong places. I actually wanted a baby, you know, and that is my story. I tried to get pregnant, you know, and I did, right? Was very successful at that. But when I had her at 16, I graduated from high school, went off to college to Howard University, and then I got pregnant again with my second daughter. Now that daughter, I didn't, you know, necessarily try to have, but I got pregnant with her. And so I ended up leaving and, you know, dropping out of college or whatever and going back home to take care of my mom. My mom got sick with cancer, and so I took care of her into her demise. And when I look back, I'm like, what happened? You know, but again, I was raised with like a silver spoon in my mouth. So some people are like, well, I had a bad upbringing. I didn't. I was just making dumb choices, you know, dumb decisions. And so when my mom passed, I moved to Georgia. And when I moved to Georgia, everything just went downhill because my mother was my support system. Yeah. That was my backbone, you know, and so I felt like I didn't have her. And before you know it, I had 3 kids, 4 kids, 5 kids. And then I signed up for nursing school, and I failed nursing school by 2 points. Literally, the last day of med-surg, I found out. Clinical is done, you know, and everything. And I found out that I failed by 2 points, and I was devastated. Yeah. I was so heartbroken, and I'm working at the hospital as a patient care tech, and I was making like $10, $11 an hour, you know, with 5 kids. The math wasn't mathing, you know what I'm saying? But I was trying, and I'm like, I have to do something to get myself. I was on social services, every government assistance program that they had, you know, from welfare to TANF to food stamps, everything. And I just wanted better for myself because I was raised better. I knew my children deserved better. And so I had to apply again for school. You know how that goes, and had to tell them, you know, hey, how am I going to do better and blah, blah, blah. During that time, I had someone approach me with a check, you know, and they're like, hey, we can give you this check for $17,500 and you're supposed to give us half and then you keep half. And in the midst of everything I'm going through, I'm tempted. But I said, if I do this, I'm keeping the whole check. Because if anybody getting in trouble, it's going to be me, regardless if it's $1 or it's the entire amount, right? And so I did. And I sat at the ATM, and I'm looking at this ATM. Now, mind you, I used to go to school and keep my refund check to take care of my kids. You know, that's just what it is. And I used to take this refund that I was getting from school. I bought my truck that we stayed in when I was homeless, you know, just to support my family. But now I'm not in school because I have to wait a year to get back into med-surg. So I took the check. I stayed at the ATM, and it's so crazy because I'm looking at this ATM, and I'm like, don't do it. But the other side of me is like, do it. And, you know, so I cash the check, I get the money. Unfortunately, I go to jail, you know, for it, and have a felony charge. This time I get back into the program. And as I'm going through this class again, I passed, right, with a B. But then I went to my psych rotation. They had to pull my background check. And I'm like, oh my God. And this felony comes up. Yeah. But this felony comes up the last day of rotation. The very last day. So that's my testimony, right? Wow. And so I talked to my instructor about it, and she's like, Ebonee, come here. And she comes over, and I'm getting chill bumps even telling this story, but she comes over and she goes, do you know your background check just came back? But it's the very last day of class. And I'm like, thank you, God. So he was seeing me through the entire time. I just had to keep going. You know, even through my mess, he was seeing me through, because I was supposed to serve 10 years in jail, and I served 3 days in jail. 3 days. So I was able to go through the entire program. During that time, that article that you saw is when me and my kids were homeless, you know, living in my car, because I was robbing Peter to pay Paul, to be honest, you know, trying to make things work. And I got to a point where I just couldn't make anything else work, you know, and I was staying in places that I knew I couldn't afford, but I didn't want my babies in the hood. So I'm just like, we gonna just stay here until we get evicted. We go to the next place and we go to the next place. And finally, I couldn't go to a next place, you know, and so, you know, lights off, water off, all that craziness. And so we stayed in the back of Walmart in my vehicle while I was in school, and my teacher found out, you know, about it. And that's when the news came and everything. And so there was a church here in Atlanta that helped us to get into a hotel and then to transition into a 2-bedroom townhome. But y'all, that 2-bedroom townhome was like a 7-bedroom, multi-million-dollar home, you know, for us, especially being in my truck, you know. But I had to keep pushing. I had to keep going. And I couldn't give up. And then I heard the sweet sound and voice of my mom telling me, you know, just as my angel, keep going. You got it. You know, so yes, there were days I was on the floor. There was days I was crying. There was many days I was depressed, you know, or should I say not clinically diagnosed depression, but I just know how I felt, you know, at the time. But I pushed through and graduated, you know, from nursing school, and here I am, you know, but I knew I had to get to the finish line by any means necessary.
Yeah. Your story always makes me so emotional when I hear it, because people a lot of times make so many excuses. And the truth of the matter is, when we go through these challenges, what people don't realize is we are being shaped. And what I truly feel, and this is based on my experience too, is that as I was going through my hard times, you know, it hurt. It didn't feel good when I was in it, but like I couldn't reach the destination that I was trying to come to without going, because I wasn't the person. So that shaping is uncomfortable, but that's how you make the transformation into who you're supposed to be. So when people are making, you know, a lot of times we make excuses. Some people could have said, well, it's not meant, and they could have given up, right? Like when you went to jail, you could have given up and said, it's just not meant, forget it. Like, I'm not worth it. You could have done all of the things, but you decided to keep pushing forward. Now, I'm sure at the time you weren't thinking like, I'm making the transformation. I'm sure you wasn't thinking about that. And hindsight is always 20/20. But at the same time, when you have people who are sharing their journey and telling you that, yes, this doesn't feel good right now, but like you still have the power to decide what your life is going to look like no matter what, but yet they still make the excuses of why they can't do it. So my question to you is, like, now sitting here looking back, what would you say was positive about it? Because even when it's ugly, when you're in it, it don't feel positive. It don't feel good, but there is good. That there's always two sides to a coin. It has to be. Right. So yeah, you was on the negative side when you was going through it, but like now looking back, what's the positive?
All of it was positive. All of it was positive. Like you said, of course, at the time, right? Yes. I didn't realize that. I'm just like, more, God, like more, you know what I mean? But all of it was positive because, like you said, it molded and shaped me into the woman that I am today. Yeah. You know, and also sometimes I truly, truly believe that God, there's some people that's called and some people that's chosen. And so to be chosen, you know, to go through the stress and the mess, you know, it turns into my message. And that's what my message is today. I was just ministering to somebody a couple days ago, you know, and she's going through it, just lost her job after 20 years and so on and so forth. And I'm telling her, I'm like, just praise God through it. You know, I know it's hard, but you know, I've been there, right? So it hits different when you're talking to somebody. If I say, I was a teenage mom, and you come back and say, oh, I was too, it's different, right? Than somebody who doesn't know and hasn't walked, you know, in that same journey. And so for me to minister to her and say, just take it all in, praise God right now because he's doing something. She also is in the medical field. She also is an entrepreneur. And I'm like, girl, go. This is your opportunity right now to just push hard as you can, times 1,000 in your business. Because guess what? Ain't nothing stopping you but you know? And so it all, to me, was positive now that I look back.
But people get mad. Can we talk about that? When I'm in shit right now and you talking about, girl, you gonna make, what? Yeah. Like, I don't want to hear that, right? Yeah. But you need to hear it.
You do.
Once you are starting to realize that whatever you are trying to do and trying to accomplish is what's supposed to happen, and you realize who's really in control, I think you sit back and you become more open to receiving that. You may not receive it in the moment, but I'm still going to tell you. Now, I was going to tell the story about when you called me. Do you remember when you called me on the phone? At 9. I know, but it was at 9 o'clock at night. I'll never forget it because you called. You said, I know it's 9 o'clock at night, but I don't care. That's what you said.
I don't remember that.
And you said, I don't care. And then you was like, I think this was when I feel like it was when you were like, you know, when you have those days where it's like, tomorrow could be the day. I can't give up. I want to give up so bad. But if I give up today, what if tomorrow is the day? I felt like for you it was that. And you were like, I don't care if it's 9 o'clock. And I don't remember. I think I had went on another podcast and you had seen something had happened where I did something and you was like, I really want this. I said, well, do it. I said, well, stop playing, stop talking, whatever. And then you so mean. And I promise the next week I just smiled because you were on it. And I don't remember, I think you started your program, you had started doing, you let me have it, but I needed it because I needed the push. And I feel like even in the moments where it hurt, like, it'd be like, don't talk to me like that. Like, that was not nice, right? But it's not about being nice, it's about making it happen. And I think people need that. Yeah. So when you look back, and this is for everyone who is listening, you guys, when y'all look back on your moments of difficulty and hardship, appreciate it. Even when you're in it, understand that it is if you had the ability, this is what I say all the time, if you had the ability right now to be and do and have all the things you say you want, you would have it. And if you don't, it's because you haven't become the person who is either worthy of it or who knows how to get it. So listen to the people or get you a coach or a mentor who can show you how to do that. And I feel like you've become that for so many people. And what you will find is that the people who come to you, you start attracting them through your story. Okay. So they'll be like, you said that one thing and it was like, oh my God, you were talking to me, you know, and they start. And so, which means that you really are able to help them and serve them because you have been where they are. Right. So then I guess my last question for you before we head out is like, we have a lot of listeners, like I said, who are aspiring and current, right? They're like, and I'm going to tell you, I hear it all the time. They may be feeling like, I don't have no story. Like, I don't have the story of 10 kids and, you know, all of this stuff I've overcome. What can I do? Like, I really do want to be in the coaching space, or I really want to start that med spa or IV hydration business. Give some practical advice, not high level, but practical, like things that they can do to get them started. Like, you know, that just start, but like what? Tell them what you would suggest them.
Yeah, sure. So what I did was I wrote the vision and I made it plain. I wrote it out on there. You know, so some people, they'll do like vision boards and all that. I don't really have time for vision boards, you know, but I do not like just pasting stuff, you know, on a board, but I'll write it out. Like, this is what I want to do a month from now. This is what I want to do long term. And then I write down what are the steps that I need to take in order to get there, right? So if you want to open a med spa, okay, write that down. I want to open a med spa. How do I open this med spa? Number one, doing the research, right? So us as nurses, we do evidence-based practice all the time. We analyze, blah, 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 the data. Take that same information and do that in your business, right? Because you do it with patients, now you do it with your business. And so you just transfer the skills that you have into being an entrepreneur. The other thing is get a coach. Like, you have to have somebody that you can look at that is like 10 steps ahead of you. Somebody that you don't have to, like I said, idolize them and want everything. Because I've had some mentors that I'm like, I'm not listening to that. But I like this, you know what I mean? So you still have to have your own mind to do, you know, what it is that you're trying to do. But get somebody who can give you the strategies of how to get there. They have already overcome it. They've been successful. They've taken some L's, some highs, some lows, and they can tell you how to straight shot. This is what you need to do to get there. And again, everybody has a story. It may not be as traumatic as mine. It may not be a sad story, but you have a story. Everybody has a story, and you use that because you have a life, right?
Yes.
Your life is your story. Like, hello. And so you use that to leverage what it is that you're trying to do. You know, all of us have had some lows, I'm telling you. Yeah. Somewhere.
For sure.
Come on. Somewhere. So it just is not the same thing that Dr. Ebonee has gone through, right? So you use that to motivate and inspire, you know, yourself. Yeah. Because if you look back over your life, and I say this all the time, you look back over your life, how many challenges have you gotten through? All of them, or you wouldn't be here today. Right. Right? So use that. Yeah. Use that to your leverage and to your advantage to do what it is that you're trying to do. Those are my strategies. I just write it out. I get me a mentor, somebody who's going to yell at me because I'm used to somebody I'm not looking up here. But my mom was a drill sergeant in the military, so I'm used to people yelling at me. But I need that. That's the thing. Yeah. Like, it's like a personal trainer, and you need them to say, get your ass down there and do 10 more. And you're like, who going to look at them and be like, or you want to say, go ahead, do 10 more push-ups. No, I need you to push. And now that you're talking about that call, it's coming back. It's coming back to me. I was like, I was actually traveling.
Yeah,
I was on a
you
travel
were.
assignment, and I was looking at somebody else, and I contacted you, and I'm like, damn, I'm right here. Do I go this way, that way? And I think I was doing Airbnb at the time. I was posting Airbnb, and you like, stop posting that. You don't need to be posting that. You're confusing your audience. And I'm like, and actually, I called my husband about you. Yes, I did. And I was like, she just got in my butt. I needed that. And now it's just saying it like I won't forget. And I was like, but I needed that. And you're right. From there, it just like plummeted me to where I am today.
Yeah.
I'm like, it was like autopilot just came on. And I was like, okay, I'm ready. You know what I'm saying? So you have to have that coach and that mentor that is going to help to inspire, encourage you, but to also push you.
Yeah. I think it's the shiny object syndrome. We all have it, right? Sometimes I'm looking at Airbnb and I'm like, oh, that looks that. I know you can make a bazillion, trillion, gazillion dollars in 30 seconds. And I'm like, I want to do that. Right. But it takes a level of discipline. And I think sometimes that's where coaching falls into. But I hear nurses say it all the time, like, I can do so much. Okay, you can. But
That's pick one.
you haven't done one thing. So can we start there?
Right. And that's kind of what you said to me. You know what I mean? You're like, here, you're there, you're everywhere. And then I had to just focus in. And I'm like, I'm a speaker. I'm a coach. You know, I can open any business I want to. That's like I said when the light bulb came off. I'm like, if I want to start a t-shirt business, if I want to start another med spa, I can. You know, if I want to write 500 books, I can. If I want to start a water company, I can. It's just knowing who you are. You know what I'm saying? When you're a boss in all aspects. And but you got to get, like I said in the beginning, the foundation. You know what I'm saying? Get the foundation together. Know who you are and whose you are. Once you know that, I'm telling you, the autopilot just kicks in, and now my creative juices just flow. And I'm like, what else can I do? What else can I do? But like you said, I got that one thing together, knowing who I was, you know, and not, like you said, the shiny, what do you call it? Shiny object syndrome, looking at everybody else and wanting to do what they do. Is that your calling? Is that your purpose? You know? Because we were just talking about that too. Like, I don't like doing Airbnb anymore. So I've subleased my Airbnbs out. Because I'm like, I don't like that. But to coach,
it's still a business.
It's still a business, right? But I coach, I mentor, you know what I'm saying? And I speak all the time.
I love it.
Yes. So you are, I was just going to say, you're definitely the epitome of what we talk about when people are waiting for you to do your thing so that they can get to their next level. And I know your story has inspired us and so many out there that they can do it. So I just thank you for empowering women, nurses, and just showing people that if you can do it, then they have no excuses. I was going to ask you, does that ever get on your nerves? Because I would think you've been through so much. Like, I don't want to hear your excuses.
Right.
Like, but
I am team no excuses. That's my hashtag.
Yes.
You know, I'm like team no excuses by any means necessary. It's okay to take a break. I even had to learn how to give myself grace. You know, because I try to pile so much on me, and I try to always say, do this, do that. And I got 500 balls rolling at a time. And then when I'm tired, I'm like, but you put this on yourself. It's self-inflicted. Sometimes just take a break and look at how much you've accomplished. You know what I'm saying? And
we don't do
the
that
small
enough.
things that are really big things. And sit back and bask in that. Like, I'm dope in real life. All the stuff
And
that
really
you've
say
done.
it though.
And really say it
And
mean
don't
it.
feel exactly. That is so important. There's this book called 10X is Better Than 2X by Dr. Benjamin Hardy and Dan Sullivan, and he talks about the gain and the gap. And what you just said is exactly that. And that is, so many times we are focused on what's ahead that we don't look back and see how far we've come. And so he calls the gain looking back and saying like, wow, look at what you were sleeping in the back of Walmart. You are here, like you are doing some amazing things. Look at the things you've accomplished, Christal. Me, look at what and then still plan ahead. But if you stay in the gap, which is like, you're never going to reach it. So it's like, okay, I want to be a full-time entrepreneur. You achieve that. You're going to push the needle. Okay, I want to have my first $1 million such and such. You're going to achieve that. Then you keep pushing the needle so you always feel that you're lacking. Instead of looking back and realize like how far you have come. And that is being in the gain. We should be spending more time looking back and reflecting on our accomplishments and our achievements, because you got what you prayed for over and over again, and then you forgot to thank them. That's the crazy part, right? So staying in that, but still planning for your future is where everyone is supposed to be. So Dr. Gresham, let's talk about how everyone can find you. Okay, let's talk about all the things you got going on. You got your coaching program. I always see see you posting that you got a new spotlight. What is it called that you do where you post your new mentees? You have this on
my inner circle.
your inner
Yes,
circle.
my inner
And
circle.
I think you kind of highlight your when people join. So let's talk about your inner circle, like how people can work with you. Where can they see you if they want to hear more from you?
Yes.
All the things.
So my inner circle, so I've moved from, one-on-one coaching, right? So
Thank
the light
God.
bulb went off again.
I've been told you not to do that.
But it was literally draining
I
the
know.
heck out of me. And I thought I would love it. But I still do it. It's just that you got to pay me a whole lot.
Period.
I'm sorry for my time. But that's why I said the light bulb, went off and the dots start connecting. But I do group coaching. And it's called my inner circle, but it's called My Sister's Keeper. And I have the women that come in and we talk, we pray, we talk about networking. We have kind of like a Bible study. We get out and empower each other. We talk about their businesses, their personal, life. So it's just not business oriented and related, but also personal development, as well. They have accountability partners because they realize I can't do everything by myself. I allow them space so they can come in to network, not only with me, but the people that I, network with. When I go to speaking engagements in different rooms like that, I open the door up for them as well. And I'm like, listen, I can get you in the room, but I can't do the work. So it's like getting somebody an interview. I can't get the job for you, but I can get you in this door with me. And so I give all of that to them in my inner circle. And then they do have one-on-one, with me. And I kind of monitor them. I watch their social media. I, talk to them about their business. I am available to them just like you, are to me, that they can text me, and I'll respond if they have questions or concerns, just want prayer, just, need advice, whatever the case may be. And so that is my inner circle. Yeah. And when I tell you they love it, and even sometimes I sit and I go, you really have people that look up to you, and that you inspire and motivate. But imagine, like you said, if I had stood back and not have done it, you know what I'm saying? And so many people were waiting for this opportunity and waiting for you. So they can definitely connect with me on social media and all platforms. I'm Googleable. So I say that,
Google
I don't even Google me. I don't know if that's a word, but I'm Googleable. Dr. Ebonee Empowers or Dr. Ebonee Gresham on Google, but on all social media platforms under Dr. Ebonee Empowers.
Yes. Before we close out, because that's what we're about to do, but I wanted to just chime into the coaching aspect and why everyone needs a coach or a group. Like a lot of people will be like, I get these DMs too, like, do you do one-to-one? And I'm like, you're missing out by doing one-to-one. Yeah. Like I won't even, and I'm always in a coaching program. I pay a lot of money for my coaches, but I don't want to be in a program where there is not a group.
Right.
Because I also learn from others. So can you talk about the magic that happens just from, not just coming from you, like the power of a mastermind. A lot of people don't realize it's all the minds coming together and like having a higher mind. Right. So can you talk a little bit about that in your community, just the power that exists with that?
Sure. So it's like you said, mastermind. I think my very first mastermind was the one I went to with you, and to see all of these people in the room that share the same ideas and the same mindset was powerful, right? Yeah. So they say there's power in proximity, which it is. And so for my inner circle, you get to meet other women. And I don't even say, I have this saying that I'm a trendsetter. I do the opposite of what everybody else does, right? And that's just who God created me to be. So when everybody says, get in a room, I say, no, get in the right room. It's not just about getting in the room. And then everybody says, get in a room with like-minded individuals. I'm like, no, that's the wrong room because all of y'all are thinking alike. Get in a room where everybody's uncomfortable and they're thinking totally opposite of one another. And then you come together. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm like, that's not it. But that's what we do because it's bigger than me. It's like going to church. Everybody can't get to the pastor. Yes. But you got elders, you got people sitting right next to you that are powerful, right? That need you need them. And so it's bigger than just that one person. Like the focus is not on Dr. Ebonee, the focus is on all of us. And that's why I named it My Sister's Keeper. It's not called Dr. Ebonee's, you know what I'm saying? Inner circle is My Sister's Keeper. And so we all hold each other accountable. Yes. And just having that networking, it's just power in it. Learning people, they actually have met other women who share the same stories, share the same testimonies. Some of them are nurses, and they go, oh, you're a nurse too. And some of them, do this, oh, you do that too. And it's just power in that. There's so much impact in that. And like I said, just getting out of your comfort zone and networking with other people.
All right, y'all, this was powerful. Thank you, Dr. Gresham, for sharing your journey with us, for being transparent, which I knew you were. And I want to just really quickly highlight you guys to go follow Dr. Gresham. All of her information will be in our show notes, as always, you guys. I just want to thank y'all for taking the time to listen in. We may have we need another one. I don't know when you're coming back to LA, but we also are shooting these live ones in LA. So the next time, maybe we could get you in LA just to dive deeper in, like,
July. Okay, sorry.
Got it.
July. Around July 1st.
Okay.
That week.
So maybe we can have you come in person live too, just to dive deeper in as far as like really mindset and tools that some people can take to start their own coaching program if they want to do that. Because we've kind of covered a lot of things. But as always, you guys, thank y'all for tuning in. Make sure that you do not gatekeep. Share this podcast. I know y'all know some nurses who are interested, and they don't even have to be nurses. If they are looking to shift their mindset, this is the place for you. Until next time, you guys, bye.